Welcome to the WJBM Outdoor Show, brought to you by Midwest Tractor Sales in Jerseyville. We're coming to you from the WJBM studios in Jerseyville, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I'm Aaron Quillan. I operate Monarch Rivers, where the mission is simple: kill big deer. For those of you joining us today, we kind of have a local legend here. He is the host of the World Catfishing Championship of the World. Just a great guy all around, pillar in the community, kind of the BRBF, big river, big fun, head honcho, master hunter, and a good old time. So no pressure. You don't have to make us laugh, but everybody welcome Mr. Steve Caselton.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, so deer season's a wrap.
Yep, it sure is. I've had a really interesting deer season this year. I had some really good friends wanted to step up and put in some food plots, so we put some food plots in, and we did a little hunting down in the river bottoms. The Illinois river bottoms is it's a place that back in the day, back in the 80s, my dad. He was in with a bunch of buddies, and they kind of foreseen the future of the way hunting was going. And so if they didn't buy hunting ground, they were not going to be able to hunt.
Right.
And so they were able to take opportunity to get about 700 acres, and there was 8 of them all together, and they all pitched in and bought this ground. It's been a really fun ground. That was from 85, and big, really nice group of people, and always got along, and they're still together today. Some of them have passed on, but it's a fun place. So they give me the lower end, which the lower end is down around the Illinois River, and it gets flooded out pretty easy, but it's really a fun place because whenever you got all crop ground inside the levees, whenever the crop ground comes out, then you really don't know what you got until they start plowing, and all of a sudden all these deer come over the levees, and here they are, and so you sometimes you get to see some giants, and so it's a fun place to go. We got fishing, and now it's, back then it was hunting ground. Now it's called recreational ground, and so then it's got a price to it. So so it's fun. It is fun. So, but we started out this deer season, and since I took on a new job, I really didn't have vacation the first year, but this year I was able to take a vacation. I hunted 14 straight days, and awesome. So it was really a good 14 days, but like anybody else, can't wait for November to get here. So I was hunting pretty hard every weekend, and I was able to see over 45 bucks within 20 yards of me. And wow. And so a lot of them were young, 2.5-year-olds and 1.5 years, and I just kind of let them all go. And of course, you had a real good friend of mine, Pat McAdams, come in, and he's my partner in crime a lot of times, just bow hunting. And so we had a bow hunting pack, and I let this deer go by, and he goes, "What?" And I go, "Yeah." I said, "It's a really good 8-pointer." I said, "But I got bigger on the floor and on the wall. I just kind of let him go." But as he walked away, I was like, "Oh no, what did I just do?" So, but I let it go. It was really nice. I was planning on going hunting with him that evening, and or that afternoon, and so he gives me a call. He goes, "Hey, I just killed a big 8." And then when he sent the picture, I was like, "Oh my, yeah, that was worth." I actually got a little history with that deer 2 years in a row. Okay, and so for him to be able to take that deer was awesome. I was more proud of him than I would be of myself. So it was pretty cool. Yeah. So it was fun. But I've hunted all my life, and I enjoy it. and whenever I worked for Budweiser for 30 years, and I couldn't wait to get my first week's vacation, and that's what I did. I took it for deer hunting.
Yeah.
And then, but my dad had a lot to do with it. My dad was a big hunter, and a lot of times he lived in the hospital. He's Dr. Caselton, and so he was all about his patients. But every chance he got, he went hunting or fishing or something like that. So that kind of brought me into the sporting events. And his dad did it, and then my dad had so many friends, and that's what they did, and that's what we do. You and I and several of us do. We're just buddies and like to go fishing and stuff like that. So, but I got to hang out with all my dad's buddies because they'd pick me up like I picked up Pat McAdams when I was younger, and so it was fun. I got introduced by a lot of really, really good fishermen. A good friend of mine right now is in on the property, and Mike Jilg. He taught me a lot about fishing and commercial fishing and stuff like that. So it's been a real joy in my life as far as being able to do this every day. And some people they just know me as Steve Caselton. They don't know what I really love to do is outdoors. So it's kind of fun. So, but anyway.
Absolutely. You got a big spread of skills. You got a lot of outdoor skills, man.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been doing the thing over there at the river?
Well, my dad's mom inherited the place, and so then my dad's family, when she passed and stuff like that, my dad ended up, my Uncle Boot and several of them said, well, Dode, you spend the most time there, and that's what my dad's nickname was, and so why don't you just pay for the place and you have it. And so Dad had it for several years, and I think that was back in 85 or something like that.
Okay. Maybe
83. I can't remember all, but my dad kept it. My mom loved it, and so she loved to see the sunsets and the river, and my dad had a boat, and I don't think I was born in July, so I'm sure I was on the river by August. So that's kind of the river rat that I became.
Yeah.
And every chance my dad got, and he used to take weeks of vacation in August, and that's all he did was fish over there and just hang out and go fishing. And whenever I got old enough, that's what we did. And I was able to take buddies over there and go fishing all week. It was so much fun, and so it was kind of fun. The BRBF club came from my brother-in-law, Stanley Ray Brandon, and he had this joke. He always had these buddies. He goes, my buddies all ask me, why would you drive across one river to go to another river? And he looks at him and is real serious, and Stanley was always serious. He goes, I'll tell you this. He goes, the first river is a little river and little fun, but you go to that next river, it's a big river and big fun. So that's how that all I had to have. So that was always cool. So it kind of clicked at that point, and so Stanley had passed, and then my dad had passed, and we didn't want it to go away. So then we. Me and my siblings, and Judy, Mark, and Dan, we took on the feed of it. And, of course, we've still got to fight the floods. And that's the worst thing is the floods. And we had this old house, original house, and it kept getting flooded. And then they kind of condemned it. So then we took the front porch and the back porch and kind of got a pavilion there. And we enjoy it. Of course, you and I have partook in a few beverages under the pavilion. And,
absolutely.
And it's fun. It's just enjoyable. I could either be out on the river or right there. It's so much fun, and so many good people there, and it's just a great place to go. And with everything that's happened in the world, you really can't go somewhere and just slow down and just enjoy and watch it go by, and that's the type of place it is. So
it's the type of place where you don't look around and see people on their cell phones.
Yeah.
They're sitting there, they're talking, they're engaging.
Yeah. And they're having fun. And And when we do fish and stuff like that, we try to have fish fries and stuff like that, and it's usually everybody kicks in and brings something, and we have a big old meal, and it's just so much fun. And like I said, I enjoy that, and everybody does. And of course, we got some really nice sandbars when the river's down, and so everybody gets out and gets a little sun and enjoys it too. So it's a fun place to be. I've got the best of all worlds. I get in summertime, and then I get to hunt and fish and stuff like that. And I enjoy my job that I got now too, with being along with Caselton School District. So it's fun.
Yeah,
it is fun. So
awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the WJBM Outdoor Show, brought to you by Midwest Tractor Sales in Jerseyville. We're coming to you from the WJBM studios in Jerseyville, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I'm Aaron Quillan. I operate Monarch Rivers with a mission as simple: kill big deer. Those of you just joining, Steve Caselton, man of many skills outdoors. We just kind of talked a little bit about coming up with the deer hunting and the fishing, the great Mississippi, big river, big fun.
That's right.
So, Steve, I want to pick your brain a little bit, because I don't want to blow you up and put you on a pedestal, but you're a consistent whitetail hunter. You harvest big deer. You do a great job in terms of just being consistent. And I hate to out you, but some people might not know that about you.
I've enjoyed it. The main thing is just having patience and taking other people hunting, and that's the main thing, and letting those little ones go but I was in a different era whenever I started. I mean, when we started hunting, it was around you drove deer, and when you killed a big buck, there'd only be one big buck. That guy was lucky, got the lucky straw.
Yeah.
And so I was really pretty good at driving deer. Again, I got some help from some friends that taught us how to drive deer, and we killed a lot of deer. And so as more pressure got onto properties, the more you want to put less pressure on your property. So I've been really, really lucky. I have a couple good places to go, and so if you're patient and you kind of let the little ones go and definitely play the wind, and I try to play the wind, but there's sometimes you just got to go, because you only got a certain amount of time, and if you only got this property, you just hope you spray down so well, and so as I got going and my daughter started growing up and I started taking my daughter, it was, you really got to conceal yourself and make sure that you get all the movement down and as much as you possibly can. So I was buying these ground blinds and stuff like that, and that kind of, I could tell then. And then whenever Scent Lock and all these different brands come out, it was amazing, because I bought my first Scent Lock suit, and I had like 6 deer right underneath me. I never even knew, and I got to watch the deer do their natural stuff without smelling me, And so the more you learn as you go, you get these Scent Lock suits and stuff like that, and you watch deer, and so as you. And you're not really into brown it's down, is what I used to call it. Man, we'd kill some numbers. We'd have tags, and everybody would get their own deer and have fun with it, But then again, I wanted to kill a big one sometime. And so at that point, you just kind of look back and you go, man, we could have had some big ones if we just laid off a little bit. But we were more into eating deer than we were eating antlers, And now I eat deer, but then I like looking at the antlers too. So, but I like watching big deer, and it's fun to finally, outwit a wily old buck or a big old turkey or anything like that. So I've been lucky. I enjoy it. And I'll tell you what I get more joy of is putting a person in the right place at the right time too. You know, if I know, hey, I think you need to get in this, and I'm not an outfitter. This is before I know you're the outfitter, and I've put people in good stands, and to be able to walk back there and get to that stand and see that person have that luck is worth $1 million. You know, it's so much fun to see these guys smiling from ear to ear, and they got their biggest deer they've ever killed. And I was really, really lucky with that. I've got a friend of mine that passed, and I put him in the right place, and his name was Chris Wagenblast, and I've got all his deer heads. He's got a great set of deer heads that I actually had a little bit to do with. I put him in the right place at the right time.
All right.
And so it was fun. So, but yeah, it's all good.
Do you have like an ideal setup? Is there a type of situation or anything to where it says this ideal setup, this is where I need to hunt, or this is where that person needs to be?
Depending on the scenario and knowing if I've hunted an area, and the main thing is, like I said, just going on gut feeling. You know, hey, the sign's there. You know, I don't know. And this is before cameras, you know. You just do it on sign and go, man. And we have this Jordo hole. And the reason why we got this Jordo hole, it was kind of a pinch point anyway. And so I sent my nephew, Jordan Brandon, there. And I put him in the stand. And all of a sudden he goes, oh, my. I had the biggest buck, and to have him come out and just be all nervous and shaking. And so at that point, we named it the Jordo hole because he saw this, but he didn't get a shot, but he still was, he said, man, he's a monster. So it's fun to, you know, back then it's fun to get people in the stands and go, man, he was right there, and I just didn't make the shot. But then he was right there, and I did make the shot. So it was like a lot of fun to do that. And pinch points are really, really good. And I've got a couple of them on the property I hunt, and I know they are just, you know, it's just every year, same place, same time. You know, you may not see, and same place where I killed a big one, the next year we may not even see a big one out of the same pinch point. You know, you just don't know.
Right.
But when that weather's right, and you start seeing the chase of the does, and the hardest thing is, and that's probably for every hunter, is lockdown. Man, lockdown is tough. But if you're right there where that food source is, it can be really, really good, because there was times I've hunted with guys and I was just in the right place at the right time and had 8 bucks and 1 doe go by, and we get back to the camper and I'm soaked. They all ran out before the storm. I said I couldn't leave because it was lightning and thunder and everything else, and I go, guys, I couldn't leave. It was such funny. They didn't see a deer, and we weren't that far apart. And it was, you know, just being in the right place at the right time is kind of the luck of the draw, is what I kind of call it. You know, I wish I could say, well, I need to put you right there, but I really can't pinpoint that. It's just how the weather is, how the sign is, you know. And getting in the core area of a big buck is tough, because I think as they get older, they get shorter cores, and you may see him and, man, he's got to be here somewhere, and then all of a sudden he shows up in daylights, and you're like, wow. That's awesome, you know, so it's fun, that's for sure. And like I said, I don't have any specific place. I would say that every time I go hunting is I have a tough time of leaving a spot where I'm seeing deer.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm just going to go to this stand, and then you don't see deer, man, I wish I would have went to that other stand, you know. And so that's always in your back of your mind all the time. But if there's a stand I think would be good, I'll send like little Pat or my nephews or something. You need to get in this stand. I think it's going to be the stand to hit. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then, you know, when a plan comes together, it's really awesome.
It's a
really
darn
awesome.
good feeling.
Yeah, it is. So
yeah. So with regard to while you're hunting, how do you evaluate the bucks that are out in front of you?
I'll tell you, I'm a rack junkie when it comes to that,
Okay.
and whenever I go out there and I can look at a deer and I'll say, well, we need to pass on that one. Mm-hmm. And knowing deer age is a big deal too. And sometimes, I mean, I've killed a couple bucks that I didn't realize it, but they were like 7, 8 years old. They were run down.
Yeah.
Now they look like a 2.5-year-old just stressed out to the max, and they were just 8-pointers. And I killed them and then did the test on them, and they'd be so old. Well, just think, that's 8 years they got past all of us for 8 years.
Yes.
And the thing was my buddy that was in taxidermy, he took that cape and he put it on the biggest buck because the cape was a great cape. I noticed, but that deer was a very smart deer and got away with it for 8 years. To get one 4.5, 5.5 years old, you're lucky. Mm-hmm. And so, but now in this day is, I think, with all the hunting pressure and all the private ground, you're more apt to see bigger bucks. Mm-hmm. And if you got good neighbors.
Right.
And that's a lot to it too. If you've got good neighbors, or if you've got a sanctuary farm, there's several of those around. And if you get a sanctuary farm, that they can grow old and then maybe daylight can come off. And I don't understand, and I read a lot about whitetails and how they, we like me, I saw 45 this year. I only saw the one that I ended up took in the shotgun season that I thought was able to go, and it kind of surprised me. It was on the Sunday of first season this year, and he ended up. It kind of surprised me. I got shook up, but hey, who don't get shook up anymore?
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? So, and this year, my son-in-law, we built a really, really nice stand on this hill ground we got, and I like muzzleloader hunting because usually you're out there by yourself. Mm-hmm. And I had this really, really nice buck come off the hill, and so I throw the binoculars up. I knew exactly what it was because I wrap, and I'm touching bases. I had these guys on this hill ground that was from the Army and retired Army guys, and they gave me all their pictures. They had all the cameras. They were all sponsored and everything. So they gave me all their pictures, and I seen this buck, and I go, I can't even believe that buck's still on here because I'd seen him 2 years ago. He was really, really nice, but he was only 3.5. I thought, man, if he makes it another year, he's going to be a giant. Well, then he made it that year. And then this year, I go, there's that deer. And all of a sudden, he come off the hill muzzleloader season. And I could tell in his body language, he was going to do something. He was ready to run. He was really staring something down, and he was just about to take on. So I kind of hurried the shot, and I missed, clean miss. But everybody goes, aren't you disappointed? And I go, nope. I'm just happy to be able to get a shot at him,
Right.
And that's the thing is I don't get upset because I'm not the best shot in the world. I don't ever claim to be the best shot. Mm-hmm. I'm claimed to be lucky every once in a while, though.
Right.
So yeah, but that was kind of my season there, and I had a crossbow. And I was hunting, same stand that I missed that with a muzzleloader. Early in the season, I had this real bully buck. He was a 6-pointer. He was old, but he was a real bully buck. And I didn't see a whole lot of big deer. But when he was around, the other big deer would leave. So I was doing my dangest. I wanted to take him out and go ahead and tag him because that way maybe somebody would have an opportunity at some of these other big bucks. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that in years past where if you got a bully buck, he can run off some really, really nice deer. So I went to shoot, and I think I hit my limb on my crossbow. Well, and that was on Monday before the shotgun season. Well, Thursday I let so many deer. I'm so glad I didn't shoot that bow because I think I would have crippled something up if I would have.
Okay.
I just went out. I thought, well, I better check, see if this is on. And it wasn't. And then it was not on. And so anyway, I'm going, oh man, I'm so glad because I made a mistake whenever I shot out of that window. It caught that limb and it cracked it. So it was. So I was just glad, but to see that many bucks was crazy, and I didn't see very many does, but I don't know what's going on with Greene County either, But there's plenty of does because whenever I went late season, all I seen was does. I mean, so yeah, it was a different year this year for sure on the rut and everything else. So, but
I agree 100%. It was definitely a different year.
Yeah. So, but it was one of my better years as far as, going out and being able to see deer. And I remember back in 2012 and 13, we had the big EHD. Mm-hmm. That set us back because I remember the 90s where you go out and bow hunt and have goose eggs every day. And then the only time you would actually get to see deer is when the rut was really going and then they were chasing and stuff like that. So to get back from the EHD of 12 and back to the year that I had this year, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could take people out and I took a friend of mine and we saw deer. That's all that mattered. We didn't care that we didn't shoot as long as we were seeing deer and seeing what they do. And that's during shotgun season. Usually, man, shotgun, their shot goes off. They're going crazy everywhere, running everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, but it was a good year, a great year for as far as seeing deer for me. And hopefully all them bucks that I let go. And there's a couple of them I wish I could have got a shot at. Because I think they were 4.5, maybe 5.5 years old, but I couldn't see them real well. But but yeah, there's some dandies around. That's all there is to it. Because I don't think a lot of people had success this year, and I think there'll be a really good year next year too. So
I agree with that. I think that there were some guys with their fingers on the pulse that might have had some of their best seasons.
Yeah.
But overall, some of the the vast majority might have been down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we're talking age class, are there any specific features on a deer that you're looking for to kind of help determine the age of them?
I tried to look at the mass mainly and see if he's got good mass, good time length and stuff like that. And,
okay.
And to go in this year, and I told everybody, I said, I'm looking for my last one. I have not killed a booner. I've killed several bucks that were in the 170s, 160s, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I put my good buddy on one that was a 195. And wow. So, and we call it the water buck. And so and that's what he did. He goes, man, I just want to kill one in Boone and Crockett and get him over 175. And I told everybody, I said, I'm just going to go for, my last one and then go for it. And I didn't get my last one because I'm still shook up. I mean, when I missed that deer with my muzzleloader, I was shaking like a leaf. And when I got done, I was like, and the deer wasn't that far. I could have reloaded, but to reload that muzzleloader, it was tough. So I didn't get to reload on it. So, right. And of course you think about the shot after you make it. And I was like, I hadn't missed very much with that muzzleloader and it was only 110 yards and I've killed him 230 yards with that muzzleloader. And so I was like, but that one there, I knew it was it. I mean, as soon as I put the glasses up to my eyes, man, I knew he was a good one. And,
okay.
And so, I've not had them to where you come in and you can study them very often because usually them big ones, they're up and they're moving. Mm-hmm. But this one clean 9 I got on the wall, I had several history 2 years in a row, and I let him go 1 year. But then 1 year he come out, and he was probably 6.5 years old by the time I end up being able to harvest him. But I missed him. I shot right over his back. And in the same spot that I end up killing him 2 years later, and he gained a bunch of mass and stuff like that. So it was a bean field and a dry pond, and it was kind of a pinch point, and that's where he had been for the last 2 or 3 years. And so anyway, I was in there, and he came out of that dry pond. He looked both ways, and he looked over at that blind I was in, and he just went to a trot right across the bean field. And I was like, what just went on? Just like he knew I was in there. And then we had a Veterans Day, and my good buddy John Ridings was with me, and all of a sudden the does are coming out, and this one doe was hot. And he come over, and he come running right at us. And we had a decoy out. Well, I couldn't believe it. That doe come right to that buck decoy and swung around that buck decoy. And all of a sudden, that big clean 9, he stopped in his tracks, and then he did the mean walk, and he was coming right to that decoy. And so I'm coaching my buddy. I said, hey, he's coming right here. And all of a sudden, he stopped, and the doe kind of figured us out. And she went to stomping, and I said, man, put it right on. He was facing us at 18 yards. I said, and he had a crossbow. I said, just put it right under that white patch and let her happen. And he goes, I can't do it. I can't do it. He was, so he let the shot go. And then a little later we had 3 really nice bucks out there, and that one didn't come back, but then he ended up killing a mature buck that night, not 10 minutes later. So it was a fun hunt. Yeah. And so, to be able to hunt with somebody's fun too in those blinds. And so, but that one there, I really knew he was the real deal. So I hunted him. It snowed like heck. I hunted him, and I was there every day on my vacation. And we had this big snowstorm back in 19. And I went deer hunting. I should have went duck hunting or goose hunting with my nephew. But I went deer hunting and didn't see nothing. He calls me. He says, you better get the duck blind. So I left deer hunting alone. But then I came back on a Sunday, and I call it the Tori buck. And so I said, Tori, my daughter, I said, we're going to go kill the clean 9 tonight. And she come down the stairs, and she had all this perfume and makeup on her. I go, we're not going to do it like that. And she goes, I'm going to church. I said, well, I'm going to go out and kill your buck. So that's what I did.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was one that I knew. I was in his core area, and I'd seen him 5 times. Mm-hmm. But just to get lucky to get into a majestic deer like that was really fun to be able to hunt that one there and have a little history and a story to go with it. So, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I don't really, I think I just use pure instinct as far as looking at the deer and it's, what I tell everybody too is these deer, if you kill a deer and they go, well, I will let that go. Well, you don't know the story behind that deer that they just shot. You don't know what the emotions were that was happening in front of them at that point. It's not how big the antlers are, it's how the story comes down and how, you felt and then it can be disheartening is if you tell somebody, well, I'd let that deer. I've had that happen to me, and somebody go, well, why did you kill that one? I said, well, you got to be there, and it's all about the story of how it went down, and that's where I think people lose the general fun of hunting for sure,
Yeah, so, why would you want to rain on somebody's parade like that? Yeah. And first and foremost, like you're saying, the story, and the experience, and the memories, and the people that you're with, and all of those things are far more important than I would have let that walk. Yeah. But then when you get into it, and we're kind of learning a lot of the things that people have been preaching for the past 25 years, aren't necessarily, it's like now all of a sudden we seem to have better information.
Right.
And some of that stuff that we were told to be true isn't exactly
right.
We had a guy, not this past season, but the year before, he shot a buck and something like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know what that deer is. And it was a nice deer. He wasn't super huge. He wasn't small. Mm-hmm. Body-wise, he looked mature, and you're kind of looking at him as like maybe it was a 4.5-year-old. The guy was from Alaska. It was his first ever deer.
Right.
Shot it with a bow.
Right.
Right. And it's like, hey, man, congratulations.
Right.
And it's nothing but the love.
Right.
And I get the phone call on the Cementum age, the bottom incisors. That deer was 6.5 years old.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And here you are, when I called him to say, hey, dude, guess what you shot? You gotta be kidding me. He was absolutely thrilled all over again, to know that he shot a very mature whitetail.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes you don't know what you're looking at.
Right. You don't. That's for sure.
Aging a whitetail is possibly the hardest thing.
It is. And and I think whenever you see that whitetail and he's got that dark rim right around his antlers and his face is white, he's mature for sure.
Yes.
And he's big. And I'll never forget, I killed one and I took it over to Matt Ballman, and Matt's a good friend of mine, and I took it over to him and it's a real narrow 8-pointer, but he scores 166.5 as an 8. Mm-hmm. And but man, he was chocolate brown on top, and it was probably the prettiest deer I got on the wall for sure. And to see those kinds of deer come through, and I had a little history with him too. I was bow hunting, and this doe came in a hurry, and he come in right behind her, and of course where he stopped was his vitals right behind this small sapling. I pull back. He wheels and goes right away from you, just like, and so, but to be able to get that deer almost a year, I think it was a year later, I ended up getting that deer, and he was bigger yet than what he was the year that I was going to try and take him. Mm-hmm. And so, but, and he looked so mature the year before, but you just don't know until you get in there. And body size, he ended up field dressing like 223. And I was in his core area. Again, there you go. You don't realize you're in the core area. And then all of a sudden he daylights and he's got that doe. And hard telling where he was the whole time. You could be walking by him all the time. And he just that smart that they don't move unless they have to. That's for sure. So,
yeah.
But it's... To down any other hunter? No. I'll tell you what, even with the kids to this day, and I took this young Steinacher, Ollie Steinacher, this year, and we had a tough time. It was hot and stuff like that.
Ollie's my best buddy, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. And so Ollie and I and his dad, we went, and it was tough hunting. I mean, it's only the second week of October, but it was 85 degrees, and I said to Ollie, I don't know if we're going to do any good, but hey, we're here, we got good food plots. He was in on helping me plant the food plots and stuff like that, and his dad. And like I said, we had a good group of food plotters, and we got lucky because it was dry and we got a couple rains. And so anyway, he wasn't able to hunt with me again. But then whenever I killed this deer this year, I had a year-old, and I gave it to him because whenever I was a kid, you didn't see very many big deer, but a friend of mine, dad's, gave me this big rack, and I put it right above and I couldn't wait to be a deer hunter, and that's what it takes. If you can get hunters, and like I said, I put a a lot of drives on back in the day, and whenever we first started doing deer management, hey, if you can't put it on the wall, don't shoot it, But if they do shoot it, don't down them, because it might be the biggest deer they ever killed, and congratulate them, throw your hand around them, give them a big hug. I mean, that's and especially them kids that are just now taking up bows and stuff like that. Who cares that first year? They'll learn. We learned, didn't we? I mean, we've all learned how to manage our emotions, is pretty much, because you can get wrapped up pretty quick in deer hunting and go, man. And buck egger is a real deal too, because and we call, you talk about ground shrinkage, and hey, it is what it is, I enjoyed it. It's my story, and I'm sticking with it, So that type of deal. So it's a lot of fun to, like I said, I've seen some really, and for me, if I had all the bucks between my brothers and friends and stuff like that, the property that we hunt on, everybody go, oh my God. And it's really not that big. But, man, we've enjoyed every one of them. That smile after they take their first deer is just worth it for me ever, is to see them get their first deer or get their biggest deer and stuff like that. So it's very enjoyable. And I hope with this interview that people know how I feel about the whitetail hunting and stuff like that. I'd rather teach somebody than really do anything. And I enjoy life, that's for sure. Being around a bunch of buddies is what it's all about. So,
absolutely, no doubt. You are a facilitator of fun. And on that, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the WJBM Outdoor Show, brought to you by Midwest Tractor Sales in Jerseyville. We're coming to you from the WJBM studios in Jerseyville. The voice of the Tri-Counties, I'm Aaron Quillan. I operate Monarch Rivers, where the mission is simple: kill big deer. Those of you joining late, Steve Caselton. What did we just say? You're the creator of fun.
I guess.
Yeah. We were just talking about the overall experience of hunting and fishing and what it's all about, not necessarily all those big trophies, but creating the experiences for people. Yeah. And that's a good place to be. It's a great place to have hunting in your heart,
Oh yeah, definitely.
So help me understand this. Where did you, since 85 maybe, you've been fishing in all these rivers, but primarily there in the Mississippi side.
Yeah.
What types of changes have you seen over the years?
I think the craziest thing about the Mississippi River and all the stuff is after the flood of 93 and the Asian carp getting in there. And so that really, really changed that river a lot. I mean, not just because they jump everywhere, it's because the species, the buffalo, the carp and stuff like that, because I was a commercial fisherman too. So we were catching buffalo and we enjoyed it and getting fish fries and stuff like that. And to have them get in the river and do what they've done since 93 is really crazy. So as being a commercial fisherman, I did a lot of trot lining, and it was usually 50 hooks, and we fished like 6 trot lines, and as we got to going, the speckled, the channel cat and stuff like that, you were catching more blues than you were channel cat. And then as here in the last 15 years, I mean, the blue catfish got to be so huge. And I think with the big head getting into the river, Kopi now that they call it. Yeah. And so anyway, since they got in there, I think these blue catfish have adapted to feed on them, and they're full of protein, and that's pretty much why they were being raised, is because of all the protein that they had. And at that point, these blue catfish just got to be huge. I mean, you never heard of these 120, 160 pound blue catfish, and it'd be once in a while behind the dam. Yeah. And so as I was trot line, and I was learning that I need to get bigger equipment, and so bigger and stronger hooks, and so I started making my own trot lines, and at that point I started catching these monster blues on the trot lines. But I think that's the biggest change in the Mississippi River is is the big head, because and it used to be the drum, and then the drum were so bad or whatever, but that's not the case so much. And then we've had zebra mussels, and you don't see the zebra mussels like you used to too, because I think some of the species that were around here adapted to those zebra mussels and started feeding on them, and so it kind of helped. The biologists all talk about all this stuff, but they never say anything about why are these catfish getting so big, and now they're getting to be like a game fish, because there's so many people out there catching these big fish, but they're letting them go too. But I can't for say that I let too many of them go. I let a few of them go because I couldn't get them in the boat, but otherwise I like cleaning them, and I clean a lot of fish and give a lot of fish away to friends and stuff like that. I learned that from my dad, because my dad had all these different properties, and he'd give them fish. We'd go catch fish and give them fish, because they didn't fish. And that gave him a way of being able to hunt their properties. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty good trade. Yeah. And of course, they were probably his patients too back in the day, So it was, and at one time I remember my dad, he was able to hunt thousands of acres. He could just call somebody up and we go hunting. And then now pretty much everybody leases their ground up, and so there's that. And that's coming all the way back around. That's why he and that group bought that hunting ground pretty much, because they could foresee all the stuff that was in the future. And so, but yeah, I mean, fishing has changed a lot. I used to catch crayfish and put them on trot lines. They're hard to find now, and so now I go out and I get the big head, and we cut them up as bait and try to get. And I've caught a lot of fish on it just by using it, because they have adapted to be able to catch them catfish now, and you can that's pretty much what I do. Is and if they jump in the boat, that's their fault, because they're going to be on the hook before So that's kind of how it goes, So, but I do enjoy that, and when we come back to we have the fishing tournament. It's a bunch of guys getting together, and we get in boats, and we have a shotgun start at 6 o'clock in the morning. We all go out there, and we come back by 10, and everybody's like, oh, and this year was the funnest because it was so high. I didn't think we'd catch any fish at all. And the next thing you know, the boats come in, and we've got one guy that catches 45, but it's all legal. Everybody's got their fishing. We don't. 4 biggest ones get the main weight. Big fish, small fish, and we just have fun with it. It's just so enjoyable. And then after that, I go to frying them, and then we just dang near everything we catch. So it's a lot of fun, and that's going all the way back to BRBF Club too. So, but the river is ever changing, that's for sure, and you got to have fun while you're doing it. So, but yeah, I enjoy it, but that's the biggest change of that river, and of course siltation too. Going on with the river, it's really tough. I mean, Mississippi is a lot of people are scared of it, but I've pretty much lived that river all my life, and I hit dikes too, but there is some rock dikes up and down through there, and they're always trying, the engineers are always trying to change something to get it to where the barge traffic can get through. So a lot of people get scared of it, but it is a really good river, but you have to respect that river, that's for sure. And I tell a lot of people that way. So it's a lot of fun.
One thing it took me a long time to realize, and I just looked down one day and realized it, is Mississippi River is so much more clear than the Illinois.
Oh yeah,
The water quality is so much better.
Yeah, they are, and it is. It's clear, and you don't, and you know, from bank to bank, there's always a sandbar you can pull up on, and you know, and I've got a pontoon boat that usually holds about 13 people, and I enjoy it. I enjoy just riding on that river. It's just there's so much stuff to see, and you can take the Mississippi from where we're at down to Grafton and up to Hardin and stuff like that. There's opportunities out there, but it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about the fun and enjoying what you do. That's for sure. So it's and on the way, I mean, you always find somebody. I can always find a friend. My wife always tells me that. She goes, you can't go nowhere without knowing somebody. And I said, well, if I don't know them, I will get to know them.
It's all part of being a facilitator of fun.
That's right.
Yeah, man. A lot to be admired with how you're able to surround yourself with good people and good times, man.
It is.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming out.
No problem. I look forward to it because I enjoy hanging out with you too. I mean, when you come over, I like talking and having fun and partaking in a few beverages.
Yes, sir. That's like my getaway spot.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a chance, just, you know, you get that half hour. Hopefully you can stretch it to a couple hours to get away. I'm there. That's where I'm at in the summer.
That's fun. It's fun. So
yeah.
Well, it's a good deal.
Thanks again, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoyed it. And you know, we could go forever and talk forever. It's just, and it's all wrapped around the outdoors. That's all there is to it. So, but yeah, it's all good. I like it. I got good family and good friends. That's all it takes. So,
I'm into that.
Yep. All right.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you.
Yep.